It's Mr. Royce Media, coming at you guys with another video. And this video was inspired by some recent events in the media, um, and a video that was put together by my man G. Laurie. Go subscribe to his channel. It's a great dude. Me and him, we go way back. So, I love his material. So go check his channel out. He's the light-skinned activist. Anyway, the media event that I was talking about was, it came out that T.I. takes his teenage daughter to the gynecologist every year, or to the doctor's office, to make sure her hymen, her virginity, is intact. Now, I'm not one to tell a man how to run his family. It is what it is, but that's what he does. Now, the video that G. Laurie had was basically asking the question of why these guys aren't marrying all these virgins. Why aren't you black guys marrying all these virgins? And so it got me to thinking about this whole idea of wanting a pristine virgin to marry in Western society. And when I speak of Western society, I speak of North America, Central, South America, Europe, and basically all the societies that have some influence of Western Europe, Western and Central Europe in tow. Now, it's funny that we have a lot of guys, especially a lot of guys in the black sector YouTube. They talk about how most of these women out here ran through and they're not virgins and stuff, things like that. And I think these guys seem to forget that these women are growing up in the same environments as you. You see how you are inundated with sex and romance and things like that. These women are inundated with the same thing. So they have the same influences. So just like you want sex, they want sex. The age of marital consent around the United States hovers around between 16 and 18. And these are the prime years that males and females come into, they really start coming into their sexual beings. And so, again, these women have sexual desires just like you all do. We don't have a society that doesn't hold high the virtues of being a virgin, because it's kind of unrealistic. Quite frankly, it is what it is. And the funny thing about it all is that a lot of you guys that want these virgins, you've had sex before. You've had sex before with women around the same age as you, particularly during your first time having sex. And so you, in effect, stole the virginity from you. You took the virginity from a young woman who in turn you've sullied for the next man that may have wanted to marry a virgin, and he can't marry her because she's not a virgin. I find that funny. Not only that, most of these women, like you all, haven't had many relationships. The truth is, most Americans have not, most people in the Western world have not had more than 5 sexual partners. Very few. And so you have to ask yourself, does that make them run through? I don't necessarily believe it does. That's my personal opinion, which I'm entitled to. I don't think it makes a person ran through, and most of these sexual encounters that these women have had were in the course of relationships. They weren't just out here running around just, willy nilly, just banging, Tom, Dick, and Harry. And this is not simple. This is being realistic about the sexual environment that we have in the West. Just like most men haven't had more than 5 sexual partners, and the majority of those partners usually came, and encounters came about through some relationship of some sort, some romantic involvement. So that doesn't make you guys man whore. Now, when we talk about, places where virgins are made, the remaining places where virgins are made in the Western world, a lot of you guys don't go to those places, which would be a lot of your very deeply religious cults and sects, such as you have them within the Christian church, you have them within Islam, you have them within Judaism. A lot of you same guys talking about marrying a virgin have no desire to be a member of these different cultures and subcultures, and to indoctrinate yourselves with that and live that life. But you want the regular everyday woman to be a virgin. You see how that doesn't make sense? It really doesn't. Sound kind of stupid with those expectations. It's very unrealistic. And, just like we talk about women having unrealistic reputations, that is a common thing throughout the male sector of YouTube, and especially Black YouTube. A lot of you guys out there, a lot of you Black guys, have unrealistic expectations of the sexual marketplace when it comes to females. A lot of you sound ridiculous, that's to put it bluntly, and even then, because this virginity that you seek, it has a high market value, because you're not the only ones that want these virgins, that has the fantasies of these virgins. It comes with a higher market value that, quite frankly, a lot of you guys aren't prepared to meet, especially in this economy. You can't really afford that, So you kind of have to work with what's there, and hopefully you don't get a hold of a woman who is too sexually free. That's just being realistic. That's dealing with the environment as it is. I mean, you always have your choices, and your choices are your choices. Your choices are to deal with them or not to deal with them. And, it makes no difference to me. Just be ready to live with the consequences of your choices. Just like the women have to live with the consequences of their choices. Basically, everybody has a choice on how they want to proceed, So anyway, this whole wanting a pristine version that's only good enough for you. A lot of it comes from crazy talk, and I find it laughable. A lot of you guys won't go the Taliban route. That's really what you sound like. You sound like the American Taliban, the Western world's version of the Taliban, and the conditions that you would need to bring that about. You don't want to be bothered with that either. So it is what it is, Another thing about that whole virgin thing, are you really willing to marry someone who is very young age? That's another issue, that you have to look at. And that's, in some places it's legally acceptable to marry someone as young as 14, but is it socially acceptable? Because you guys are looking at the same time for, you're looking to satisfy certain appearances, and marrying somebody 14 years old, that goes against appearances, quite frankly. And it's not advisable, especially in this day and age. So, you really have to take into consideration this position that you have about marrying virgins, because it sounds ridiculous. Now, if you can manage to find one that you want to marry, great, great. But you have to accept the environment for what it is and learn how to move in the environment accordingly and make your decisions. This is Mr. Royce of Royce Media. Like, share, subscribe. Get in the comment section. Like it, hate it. This is Mr. Royce Media. I'm out.